What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to be doing some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the trend is showing, based off what the chart is doing, and based off what I think may end up playing out from here on out. I'm also going to talk about what the news is saying about Tesla that's very important for its future, and also what is going on with Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend himself, as we do have another major tweet that just came out from him involving Tesla and its future. Now, before I break anything down from Elon Musk, before I talk about what's going on in the markets and what my price prediction is for Tesla for Friday, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And you could always sell these 6 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some Tesla shares for free in this limited time offer that ends in just 2 weeks. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, as you guys can see, we did have a bit of a bull trap that actually was set up yesterday. And I did actually talk about how this was definitely a possibility, but it was actually a little bit tricky to actually catch it, considering the fact that we were kind of respecting a bit of an upward trend from a technical perspective. But we could see that I did mention that I did see this as the most likely possibility in my previous video if you didn't see it. And I talked about how I did think that we would end up dropping, and I thought we'd actually bounce off that. We'd actually hold above like 650. I didn't think we'd actually drop almost 9% in one day, which is pretty extreme. So with that said, we are pretty oversold, and I do think that it's very possible for Tesla to get a bit of a bounce either like tomorrow or maybe the trading day after, which would be Tuesday, since the market's going to be closed on Monday for June 18th. But with that said, I just want to show you this dictionary looking bull trap that essentially formed on Tesla. I mean, if you compare what Tesla's chart looks like to this right here, it's very similar. Just look at this part of the chart where my cursor is. Big push up, right? Many technical experts could even fall for these. I mean, it's common, and the market's just full of traps like this. It happens all the time, especially on low volume. And you can see they pushed it up into the FOMC meeting, and then typically and historically, right when this happened, like back in the month of May, we actually saw something very similar, which is why I suspected we'd probably drop. And that is what ended up happening, right? We got this trap for the bulls. A lot of people thought Tesla would just keep on pushing up, and they got trapped by the bears that pushed it down even lower. But with that said, what on earth is going to happen now for the future of Tesla? And that's what I actually want to break down in this video. So looking at the overall markets, let me just close this ad. Sorry about that. If you look at the fear and greed index, okay? Right now, the market's driven on extreme fear because there's so much uncertainty in the markets. And what Jerome Powell essentially did is he mentioned things that I didn't necessarily fully agree with. So he tried his best to kind of keep the markets afloat and like kind of cool. But the problem is he was very uncertain about what on earth his future policies are going to be like, because he talked about how a 50 basis point rate hike was on the table, but so was a 75 hike. And he did state that the data is what would give him the indication to make that next move when it comes to choosing between those hikes. Now, the problem with that, in my personal opinion, the reason why I don't think that's the best of moves is you can't wait for the damage to be done to act, especially if you're in the Fed. At least that's my personal opinion. I think that they need to act now to kind of avoid the issue that's getting worse, so to speak. I mean, that's just my opinion. Like I said, you're free to disagree with me. And on top of that, we need a very, very good plan. And Powell, I mean, he didn't really set out the best of plans, in my opinion. He did try very hard to remain optimistic, and he did kind of keep the market afloat just on the day he was speaking. But after that, we are seeing a bit of a drop after what on earth really went down. And because of the fact that now I feel like the trust in Jerome Powell is not the same as before, because back in May, when we had the FOMC meeting, right, back on May 4th, 2022, Jerome Powell said a 75 basis point hike is off the table. He said, we're not going to do that. He didn't want to do that. And then all of a sudden, June comes and they do it. So it just goes to show that a lot of investors are now losing faith, or I would say trust. He lost a lot of credibility, unfortunately. And I don't mean that to attack him in any way, shape, or form. It's just the uncomfortable truth. And that's not necessarily a good sign for the markets, especially as we are seeing changes to quantitative tightening as it is going to perpetuate. So what does this mean for the markets going forward? Let's actually look at the SPY in the NASDAQ real quick. So one of the things I noticed about the SPY, I don't know where I have it, it's right here. The SPY looks like it's very oversold, extremely oversold actually. If you look at the RSI, let me actually pull up a bigger time frame just to show you a better perspective. Look at how the RSI kind of held up during a lot of these big moments. And typically, when we enter this like really oversold range, we slowly get a bit of a bounce. Like right here, see where we're super oversold? Let me try to zoom in just a little bit just to show you. Right here, very oversold, we get a slight bounce. Right here, very oversold, tiny little bounce, slowly followed by a push up. And right here, super oversold on the SPY, and we got a slight bounce. Once again, oversold, tiny bounce, oversold, tiny bounce. Now we're very oversold right now. So like I said before, I do expect there to be a bit of a bounce for the SPY and the NASDAQ and the markets and Tesla over the next couple of trading days. Do I know the exact dates? Unfortunately, I don't know, because this is one of the things that Kathy Wood often talks about. That is when the market is in a phase where it's free falling based off fear on low volume. That's often an indication that it's very hard to find where that bounce is going to start. But I do think it should come relatively soon. I'm not saying we're just going to bounce to like 400 or like 450 or even like 380, but I do think we could get maybe a 10 point or maybe like a 5 to 10% bounce relatively soon in the next couple of trading days. I do think it's kind of set for that. I mean, look at these gaps to the downside. It's pretty crazy to see the SPY dropping like this over such a short period of time. And the exact same thing is going on with the NASDAQ. I mean, if you look at the NASDAQ, same thing, all these gaps on the way down. It is set for a bit of a bounce, almost oversold, but it does look like the NASDAQ has a little bit more potential downside before getting that bounce. So hopefully around 10,500 it comes. But for Tesla, what on earth does that even mean? So I'm actually going to move over to Tesla now and talk about what on earth I am essentially anticipating. And we can see Tesla's down about 8.54% for the day, a little bit green in the after hours, which I would say is just a decent sign. But Tesla, as you can see, is pretty oversold relative to before. It's pretty in that very, very key zone. And this is where I want to talk about this very important key zone. So if we actually go back, let's go all the way back to the month of May. And what you're going to notice, let's actually close the RSI and zoom in right here. So check this out. Tesla bounced off 620.57 the last time it was in this very low range. And I'm anticipating you might see something very, very similar. We may be getting very close to that phase where we start to see that bounce. So right now, we're in a very, very key zone. We want to see, does Tesla actually bounce off where it is right now, or does this thing bounce off 620? Because if we don't bounce off 620, that's not going to be a good sign. This thing is going to continue to drop perhaps to about 600 flats, and then that's when we should see that bounce. I mean, even if that doesn't come, I mean, there's a lot of room for downside if that is the case, if we can't even bounce off that. But as of right now, we're not seeing the confirmation that we're just going to start, going all the way down to the 500s, right? I am seeing a bit of a bounce that should be coming soon. Hopefully it comes around that 620. Now, what else is interesting is we do have this gap up here, very similar to how the SPY and the NASDAQ have those gaps. So this gap might actually get filled sometime next week, in my opinion, which is why I am anticipating a bit of a bounce relatively soon. Now, do I know exactly when? No, I don't. But if we do start pushing up, be on the lookout for the very key zones. 650 to 653 would be our key resistance, not to mention 680, 700, 720, and 730, right? Very, very key zones. Now, what on earth am I predicting? This is where things become very interesting. In fact, it's pretty tricky to kind of look at this, because you could argue that we already bounced off like 625, 626, this range right here. And that's very much possible. And I'm going to be more optimistic, because Tesla being down almost 9% in one day is pretty insane. So if you can't just have stocks push down that hard without seeing a little bit of relief, even during a bear market. So I am actually a little bit more in favor of the bullish side for Friday. And what I would anticipate is this. Let me actually draw this out. So just to remind you, Friday is going to be the last day the market is open for this week until Tuesday, as the market's closed on Monday. But let me just draw this out. So a more bullish possibility would be Tesla starts to push up. It goes to about that 653 range, gets rejection, kind of trades sideways throughout the day. But if we slowly start to push up, maybe some confidence kind of builds up in the markets just a little bit more, and we could actually push as high as that 680 range, maybe get rejected off that, trade a little bit sideways, and then end up kind of continuing from there. And I do see that this is probably the most probable possibility in my opinion. I do think we're set for a bit of a bounce. Now, here's what you need to be looking out for, okay? Because we're very, very close to that key zone. That we're super close to it. If this hypothetically starts dropping, and I'm not predicting this, I'm just saying this, and I'm going to draw this as a possibility. If Tesla starts dropping, okay, we want to see this thing bounce off that 633, 630 range. If we can't bounce off that, we will most likely drop to, it looks like this support zone kind of changed a little bit. It could be around that 625. I'm going to say the 625 to 620 range is a very, very key zone. We should get a bounce off that. Otherwise, if we can't bounce and like start pushing up after that, then we're going to head down to 600 in my opinion. Not going to look too good for the future, because now it's basically showing that Tesla's making these lower lows, and it is on a bit of a downward trend over a long time frame, which once again looks quite bearish. Now, am I saying that this is going to happen? No, I'm not promising this. In fact, I think that this is less probable, but it is something just to keep your eye on and be prepared for. So what's most likely going to happen? The yellow line, I think, is most likely going to be what happens. I think Tesla's going to see a bit of a bounce. I think we're very oversold, and the market is kind of due for that, especially after all the red we just saw. So it's not the end of the world, just a temporary moment, and I just wanted to put that out there. When it comes to other pieces of news that are quite important for Tesla, we can see this right over here. Tesla is expanding its supercharger pilot program for non-Tesla EV owners to a large part of Europe. Once again, very, very good move. And you can see that this is actually going to be happening in Denmark, Finland, Germany, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. So the reason why this is awesome is it gives access to supercharger networks to non-Tesla electric car owners. And that's going to be incredible, because what they're essentially doing is they're incentivizing more and more people to enter the EV space, putting their brand really, really out there. And they are really just trying to unite the world, because from a business standpoint, yeah, you could argue that they're going to make money off these chargers, this and that. And to me, that's a very, very good strategy, because they know that Tesla's not going to be the only big EV company out there. There are going to be big companies out there like VW. In fact, VW is projected to start to catch up to Tesla's production relatively soon. Am I promising that? No, but that is what some projections are essentially showing. But with that said, Tesla is actually a massive energy business, and that's going to really improve their supercharger network, their brand, and really help them to actually help charge more cars out there, gain more and more money. To me, it's actually a brilliant, brilliant move. And now I also want to talk about this right here. Elon Musk did actually tweet about this. So Eva Fox tweeted that Tesla cars using driver assist systems are significantly less likely to crash than Waymo, I can't say that other word, Transdev, GM Cruise, according to the NHTSA's data. Although the regulator's data only showed the number of accidents such as conclusions, it is obvious with a little digging. And you can see right here, Elon Musk responded that that is correct. So I'm not trying to bash any of these other companies like GM or Waymo, but I just want to put it out there that at the end of the day, they're improving every single day. Their driver assist systems is actually very, very efficient. It isn't perfect, but it's efficient. And in the future, I just can't wait for what the future holds, because Elon Musk also stated yesterday that the growth that's going to come from them solving full self-driving is going to be much, much bigger than the growth we're probably going to see from their production and deliveries. Believe it or not, that's what Elon Musk stated. And to me, he's definitely correct about that because of how huge that market's going to be. I'm still very bullish. And with that out of the way, I just wanted to just put it out there that Tesla, yeah, this thing is going to have downside in the future, right? We may get a temporary bounce, a slight one, but I do see more and more downside in the future, as the SPY is going to most likely approach that 350 to 340 range in the next couple of weeks, in my opinion, maybe the next month or so. There will be more downside. don't worry, remain optimistic, trade accordingly, and just note that this is not the end of the world for Tesla or the markets. With that out of the way, thank you so much for listening. Please have a great rest of the day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.